Good evening, Rabbi. Erev Tov. You were asked by some of our friends regarding all kinds of things. A lot of people in this area, they work in the jewelry business, so there's a lot of questions that come up regarding statues of all kinds of things. Are they allowed to have these kinds of statues because maybe it looks like Avodah Zarah, maybe it's Avodah Zarah, this kind of thing, And also regarding the issue of the cross, right, the tzlav, the Shativa Erev, as they call it. Is it allowed to sell this in the store? If you have a store, you work on 47th or some other jewelry store, are you allowed to sell these things? Is it allowed, not allowed? There's also another question, they asked me about the statue of Buddha, because they say a lot of people over there are working in 47th Street, they have a statue of Buddha there. So is this Avodah Zarah? It's not Avodah Zarah. What is it? Is it allowed to sell this thing or not to sell it? There's all kinds of questions that come up. So the truth is, we have to understand a little bit about this halakha. First of all, number one, it says in the halakha like this, that the Chachamim, Masechet Avodah Zarah, the Chachamim added a little bit to the mitzvah of the Torah. What does that mean? According to the Torah, only something, a statue, which is for Avodah Zarah mamash. This is asur, to have this kind of thing, So you're not allowed to sell it, you're not allowed to buy it, because you cannot get hana from it. Asur behana. So if it's something which is mamash for Avodah Zarah, some kind of statue like that, you're not allowed to have it, you're not allowed to do anything with that. So that's one thing. But there's also other things, sometimes, you have a child, right, goes to school, and he wins a trophy, because he was a good swimmer, so they gave him a trophy, right? And it's a statue, so like or, sometimes, you buy your daughter, you buy him a doll, right? Some kind of a doll. So is this allowed, or is it because of the prohibition of Avodah Zarah, maybe it's not allowed to have these kinds of things? So the truth is, the rabbis added to this mitzvah. As we said, according to the Torah, only something which is mamash Avodah Zarah, it's forbidden. But the rabbis added also some things which are not mamash Avodah Zarah, but it looks like suspicious, that's Avodah Zarah, suspicion. It looks like Avodah Zarah. It looks something that people are suspected of doing Avodah Zarah with this kind of thing. So therefore, something like that, a person is also, the rabbis added prohibition not to have these kinds of things in your house or whatever. So therefore, the rule is like this, if a person has a trophy, which is like a full body, sometimes of a man, right? Not something partial. First of all, I want to tell you that regarding something that like a child draws, or a painter, right? He draws some kind of a painting, or something on a piece of paper. Is this prohibition of Avodah Zarah? No, because it's not three-dimensional, it's just on the paper. It's one-dimensional. So therefore, it's not a full body, it's not something which sticks out, protrudes. So therefore, something like that, for sure, there's no issue. There's no problem with that. Paintings, all kinds of things, drawings, pictures also. By the way, there's a funny story, brought down. Did you ever notice, by the way? I'll tell you something really funny. A lot of people don't know this. Every time, you hear the word Chafetz Chaim, the big Chacham, right? Who was from Russia. He's the one who wrote the Mishnah Brura and also other books. Also, he wrote the book which is called Chafetz Chaim, which is about Lashon Hara and also some other things. The Chafetz Chaim, there's always, you see a picture of him, right? You see the famous picture of the Chafetz Chaim. So they say that this really, we're living in Olam HaSheker, it's like a world of lies. What does that mean? It's not really his picture, this picture. It's somebody else there, this picture. People think that this is Chafetz Chaim. They say that there's a story behind this that's not really him. So what's the story? The story's like this, they say that one time what happened was that he had to get like a picture of a passport, Chafetz Chaim, so you had to get a picture there. So what happened was that he had to go down and take a picture. So he was afraid, because of Avodah Zarah. He didn't want to take his own picture. He was machmir. Even though according to halakha, bemet, as we said, right, a picture is no problem. It's not considered to be Avodah Zarah. But he was machmir, on himself. He was a tzaddik, chassid, Chafetz Chaim, Adam Gadol. So therefore, what he did was, he said to one of his friends, he told him, he said, please do me a favor, I don't want to go and take the picture over there for the passport. So you go, and they'll take a picture of you, and I'll have you in my passport. So he sent somebody else over there. This was the whole story. He sent somebody else. Who was this? By the way, as you see, right, the picture that you see of the Chafetz Chaim, it's not really him, but it looks like a tzaddik, right? Somebody was a tzaddik. So they say that this was the shochet of Radin. He was living in the city of Radin, right? There was a shochet over there. Adam, kadosh, tzaddik, somebody, in those days everybody was tzaddik. The shochet was tzaddik. Everybody was tzaddik. So they took a picture of him. This was a picture of him. So this picture that you see, that they show you, the Chafetz Chaim, it's really the Shochet of Radin. That's really who it is, It's not the Chafetz Chaim. But sometimes, by the way, there are some videos you should know. I've seen, on internet, the real pictures of Chafetz Chaim, the real videos of Chafetz Chaim. He looks totally different. Nothing like that picture. Totally different thing altogether, It looks like a real rabbi, a real chacham. So that's the way the Chafetz Chaim saved himself from the prohibition of taking a picture. But even though there's no prohibition, as we said, right, it's allowed to take a picture. But he was mahmir, on himself. He was tzaddik, Hasid. That's something else. Anyway, getting back to what we said, right? Pictures is not a problem. So then, what is a problem? Only something which is a full body, like protruding. Something with a full body, legs, feet, head, shoulders, arms, something like that. The rabbis made a takana not to have these kinds of things in your house. If it looks like avodah zarah, it's suspicious, It's suspicious about it looks like avodah zarah. If it's something like that, you shouldn't have it in your house. But if you have something like a doll, right, let's say, or a trophy, nobody thinks that this is avodah zarah, right? Everybody knows this is a doll is a mischak, it's a game, it's a tzatzua, it's a toy, right? So nobody suspects that this is avodah zarah. Or if you have a trophy, your son won some kind of sport event, in his school. What, somebody's going to say this is avodah zarah? No, for sure. Nobody thinks this is avodah zarah. So therefore, for sure, right, something like that, there's no problem, there's no issue whatsoever. So a person is allowed to have them in the house. But the truth is, some people are machmir. Some people are machmir, as we said, the Chafetz Chaim was machmir. So they don't like to have statues in the house. So if you're machmir, tabu ala bracha, it's very good, Baruch Hashem, It's very nice, but don't make people crazy. Thinking that, everything looks like avodah zarah, everything is avodah zarah, it's forbidden. So the only thing which is forbidden is something which looks suspicious that it's avodah zarah. For instance, like for example, right? Let's say you have a statue, lo aleinu shem yirachem, of Yeshu, right? Yeshu, So this looks like avodah zarah, Looks like he's doing avodah zarah. So a person shouldn't have a statue of Yeshu, or something like this, in his house. What kind of thing is that, right? Icon, one of those icons, You shouldn't have something like that. Looks like avodah zarah. It could be that it is avodah zarah. Whatever, right? It could be that it is avodah zarah, actually. He bows down to it. Yeah, I'm sorry.
So if it's a picture or statue, only face of Yeshu, it's avodah zarah?
So as we said, right, that it has to be three-dimensional. It has to be three-dimensional. It has to be full body. Right.
A lot of Christians put it in the corner of the house.
Right. So this is not really avodah zarah. It's more like a zecher, same thing with the cross. The slav, that they call, right? The cross, you're allowed to sell it. It says the Rama in the Shulchan Aruch, and Maran Rabbi also has a tshuva about this in Yechavedat. He has a tshuva. He says over there, according to the Rama, that you're allowed to sell and buy crosses in your store, if you have a jewelry store. Why is that? Because this is not mamash avodah zarah, it's a zecher, just to remember. They remember like this, you understand? So therefore, we're allowed to buy and sell these kinds of things. As we said, right, if it's a full body, for sure, a person shouldn't have something like that in his house or in his store, right? That's for sure. But if it's something which is just a picture, so this kind of thing, it's not really mamash avodah zarah. It's like zecher, more like something to remember. They remember their avodah zarah in this way. You understand? So it says the Rama regarding this that if a person has a regular, just a cross, that these goyim, they hang it on their neck, or they make earrings out of it or whatever. So this you're allowed to sell and buy these kinds of things. It's only zecher. It's not avodah zarah mamash. But there is one cross, says the Rama, which is avodah zarah mamash. You know which one that is? The one they have in the church, because they bow down to that over there in the church. They go, lo aleinu, right? A person should, by the way, has to be careful not to go inside a church, Don't say, oh, let me see how it looks like in there. I'll go inside there, let me see what it is. There's a big tumah over there, a big impurity. So a person should never step inside of a church to check it out, to see, what's there. Let me see how they do things. Let me see how they do their religion. Don't go inside there, because they say when a person goes inside there, there's a ruach tumah, that comes on him and it damages his neshama. So you have to be careful. Don't go into a church. Same thing, by the way. Don't go into the Vatican. If you go to Italy to go visit over there, don't go to the Vatican. There's full of avodah zarah over there. It's like one big church over there. So you shouldn't go into the Vatican, because this is all avodah zarah, mamash. From top to bottom, it's all avodah zarah. So don't go over there. Be curious. Let me see. Let me see what they have over there. Oh, they have this, they have that. Wow. Oh, okay. Yeah. No. What business does a Jew have over there to go into the Vatican? Yeah. I'm sorry.
What about mosque?
Mosque is allowed to go.
Well, I know.
Says the Rambam.
What's the difference?
Because they don't do avodah zarah. They believe in one God. They believe in Allah, that's it, right? The one God, even though the things that they say about God is not true. They say a lot of lies, a lot of distorted things, a lot of kfirah, all kinds of strange things they say. But at least they believe in one God. So therefore, it says the Rambam, right, since they believe in one God only, so they're not avodah zarah. So a person is allowed to go into a mosque if he has a need to go in there, for some reason. The truth is, today it's masakana also, Sometimes they kill you. They could, violence. Today, it's a violent. The violence is the problem. You know what I mean? A Jew could be killed inside there. You never know what they're going to do to him. They hate the Jews so much today. You never know what's going to be. So if you come out alive, it's okay. To go, okay. But if they kill you, I don't know what to tell you. That's a different issue. Right? I don't know what to say. But as we said, right, the mosque is okay. Even though there is an opinion, by the way, brought down in the name of the Ritva, it's brought down that they say that Islam is also avodah zarah. Why is that? Because even though they believe in one God, but they say anyway it's still avodah zarah. You know why? Because they believe in all kinds of false things about this God, all kinds of sheker, all kinds of nonsense, all kinds of kfirah, all kinds of false things that they made up from their own mind. So since they attribute all kinds of false things to this God, so it's considered to be like the wrong God. They believe in one God, but it's not our God. It's a different God because they ascribe all kinds of things to this God that we don't believe in that. It's all sheker, it's all lies. Understand this whole thing. So therefore, the truth is that halakha is like the Rambam. The Rambam says that it's not avodah zarah. Okay, whatever, right? That's the halakha. But as we getting back to what we said, right? So therefore, the halakha is like this. If a person has a doll or a trophy, something like that in his house, he doesn't have to be worry about something like that. Because everybody knows this is not avodah zarah. What about some picture? What about a statue of an animal? Let's say, right, some kind of a egel, cow, or sheep, something like that. He's a statue. So it says the Shulchan Aruch in Siman Kuf Mem Aleph. You're there. He says over there that that's okay to keep those things today. Statues of animals. You know why? Because even the Goyim today, they don't worship statues of animals anymore. Nobody does that anymore. So therefore, everybody knows that these statues are not for avodah zarah. So therefore, a person is allowed to have it in his house. He's allowed to sell and buy them, and all kinds of things like this. So as we said, right, the only problem is really something which was mamash avodah zarah. That's one thing. That's for sure asur. Or something which looks like avodah zarah. The rabbis forbade that. But something which doesn't look like avodah zarah, it just looks like a statue. Everybody knows that this is not avodah zarah. It's mutar. It's allowed to have something like that. And also, as we said, right, an animal, any statue of an animal is allowed to have. Some people are machmir about these things. They don't want to have it in their house. Baruch Hashem, tavo alehem bracha. It's very good. And what about slav? As we said, right, sheti be'erev cross. You're allowed to buy and sell this kind of thing in the store, in the jewelry store. Right? You shouldn't have it, in your house, hanging in your house, obviously, right? It looks like you're a Christian, chas v'shalom. But a person is allowed to buy and sell them because it's not avodah zarah mamash. It's only zecher. It's a zecher for avodah zarah, except the one, as we said, right, which I have in the church. That avodah zarah that they bow down to, it's mamash avodah zarah. So that's already not allowed to have. So this is the way it is, right, regarding the laws of avodah zarah. So a person has to know, right, according to this, he can do the proper thing, and this way, right, there shouldn't be any problems. Baruch Adonai le'olam, amen, amen. Chazak.